the moment my husband signed the divorce agreement. He leaned back in his chair with the kind of satisfied grin that only appears when someone believes they have already won. Across from him sat the woman he had chosen over our marriage, smiling as she admired the beautiful home surrounding us without realizing that nearly everything she loved inside those walls belonged to me, and not to the man she thought had built that perfect life. My name is Natalie Brooks, and I was 30 years old when I discovered that betrayal often hides behind ordinary conversations and familiar faces. Looking back now, I realize the divorce itself never hurt as much as watching two people confidently celebrate a future they believed they had stolen from me, completely unaware that every step they took was leading them toward a lesson they would never forget. 3 years earlier, I had married Mason Carter after believing we shared the same dreams, values, and determination to create a meaningful life together through honesty and hard work. Mason had inherited a small farmhouse outside the quiet town of Cedar Ridge from his late uncle, and although the structure was solid, the property looked tired, outdated, and neglected after decades without proper care or thoughtful improvements. As the owner of a successful interior design studio, I immediately saw possibilities where everyone else saw cracked walls, faded paint, and rooms filled with worn furniture that had long passed its best days. I invested thousands of dollars from my personal savings, spent countless weekends designing every corner, and carefully transformed that forgotten house into a warm, elegant home that reflected comfort, beauty, and timeless style while documenting every purchase as part of my professional records. During those years, I convinced myself that every difficult marriage simply required patience because I believed love could survive disappointment if both people kept trying. Even though I slowly became the only one making any effort, Mason criticized the long hours I devoted to my business, ignored the sacrifices I made for our future, and accepted every improvement I brought into our lives as though it had appeared by magic instead of being built through my dedication, creativity, and relentless determination. One rainy evening, while Mason showered after work, his phone lit up with a message that appeared on the kitchen counter only a few feet away from where I was organizing project sketches for a client. I never searched through his private conversations before that moment, but the preview alone revealed enough to make my heart race because the sender thanked him for another unforgettable night and promised she could not wait until they finally had the beautiful house all to themselves. The messages led me to a woman named Vanessa Ellis, a cheerful marketing assistant nearly 10 years younger than me who filled her social media pages with photographs of luxury homes, expensive vacations, and dream lifestyles she constantly wished she could afford. As I quietly gathered more evidence over the following weeks, I realized she genuinely believed Mason had personally designed every elegant room in our home, and she proudly told her friends that she had finally found a successful man with incredible taste and a future worth chasing. Instead of confronting either of them immediately, I remained calm and organized. Every screenshot, receipt, bank statement, and photograph inside carefully labeled folders because emotions fade but evidence speaks forever. Each discovery hurt more than the last, yet every painful detail strengthened my determination to protect myself before revealing that I knew exactly what had been happening behind my back for months. When I finally invited Vanessa to meet me at the house, she arrived wearing an expensive outfit that looked far beyond her normal budget and carried herself with the confidence of someone expecting to replace another woman without facing any consequences. Mason sat beside her, pretending to look uncomfortable, but the stolen glances they exchanged made it painfully obvious they believed I would simply disappear and leave everything exactly as they wanted. I calmly placed the divorce documents on the coffee table and explained that I was ready to end the marriage peacefully, without endless arguments or courtroom battles because our prenuptial agreement clearly protected whatever each of us personally owned. Vanessa smiled with obvious relief while Mason quickly signed the papers, both of them assuming that the elegant furniture, custom lighting, artwork, handcrafted cabinets, and every beautiful detail surrounding them would automatically remain inside the house they believed they had just won together. The morning after the paperwork was signed, I quietly packed a single suitcase with my clothes, family photographs, and a few personal keepsakes while Mason and Vanessa wandered through the house discussing where they planned to place new decorations for their future together. I listened without interrupting as they admired the polished hardwood floors, elegant dining room, and carefully designed living spaces, never realizing that nearly every item they praised had been purchased with my own money and recorded under my name. Vanessa walked confidently from room to room with a satisfied smile, tracing her fingertips across the marble kitchen island before stopping beneath the handcrafted chandelier that had taken months for me to design with a local artisan. She laughed as she imagined hosting dinner parties for her friends and proudly told Mason that she would not change a single thing because whoever had decorated the house had created exactly the kind of luxurious lifestyle she had always dreamed about. Before leaving that afternoon, I calmly reminded Mason that professional movers would arrive the following morning to collect my personal belongings exactly as listed in the agreement we had both signed without hesitation. He barely looked up from the couch before casually telling me to take whatever clothes, jewelry, and sentimental items I wanted because everything else already belonged to the life he planned to build with someone new, and Vanessa nodded in complete agreement. That evening I checked every receipt, inventory sheet, warranty document, and ownership record one final time while sitting alone in a nearby hotel room where silence finally felt more comforting than sharing another night under the same roof with two people who had destroyed my trust. Every file was carefully organized in chronological order, and every valuable item inside the house had supporting documentation proving it had been purchased solely with my income long before either of them imagined celebrating their future inside those carefully designed rooms. At exactly 9 o'clock the next morning, 3 large moving trucks rolled slowly into the driveway, followed by a team of experienced movers who had worked with my design company on many luxury renovation projects throughout the region. Mason opened the front door wearing a confused expression while Vanessa stared through the living room window in disbelief, neither of them understanding why such a large professional crew had arrived for what they assumed would be nothing more than a few boxes of clothing and personal belongings. The crew greeted me by name before immediately getting to work, carefully wrapping the living room furniture with thick protective blankets and photographing every item according to the detailed inventory I had prepared weeks earlier. Mason watched in growing confusion as they disconnected the custom lighting, removed the designer artwork, and dismantled the handcrafted entertainment center while Vanessa repeatedly asked why they were touching furniture that she believed was staying in the house. After nearly half an hour, Mason finally stepped in front of the movers and demanded that everyone stop because he insisted they were stealing his property right in front of him. Without raising my voice, I handed him a thick binder containing purchase receipts, delivery confirmations, insurance records, and signed invoices proving that every sofa, table, chair, appliance, rug, and decorative accessory had been bought entirely with my personal savings. His confidence disappeared almost instantly as he flipped through page after page of documents bearing my name, my signature, and payment records that left no room for argument or misunderstanding. Vanessa grabbed several pages from his hands and desperately searched for anything that supported their assumptions, but every receipt confirmed the same painful truth that the beautiful life she admired had never belonged to Mason in the first place. Throughout the afternoon, the once elegant home slowly returned to the empty shell it had been years earlier as each carefully selected piece disappeared into the waiting trucks with remarkable efficiency. The dining room lost its warmth, the bedrooms became cold and lifeless, and the spacious living area echoed with every footstep because all the character and comfort they had fallen in love with had been created by my vision rather than by the man standing helplessly in the middle of the room. Just before the final truck departed, another contractor arrived to remove several custom-built decorative features that I had commissioned specifically for my design business as demonstration pieces. For future clients, Mason stood speechless while Vanessa quietly cried on the bare wooden floor, finally realizing that she had mistaken someone else's hard work for his success and that the dream she thought she had stolen had disappeared one carefully documented piece at a time. 2 weeks later, my phone rang while I was arranging furniture inside my new downtown apartment, a place that reflected who I had become instead of reminding me of everything I had lost. Mason sounded exhausted and defeated as he admitted that Vanessa had packed her belongings and walked away after realizing the house was nothing more than an aging building without the beauty, comfort, and elegance she had believed came naturally with him. He quietly confessed that he had taken my dedication for granted and never understood how much effort, creativity, and personal sacrifice I had invested to transform that neglected property into a welcoming home filled with warmth and character. He even asked whether I would consider returning to help redesign the house or at least recommend furniture and decorations that could make the empty rooms feel alive again. But his apology arrived far too late to repair the trust he had willingly destroyed. I politely declined his request because rebuilding my own future mattered far more than restoring the one he had chosen to abandon, and I wished him nothing more than the opportunity to learn from the consequences of his own decisions. After ending the call, I blocked his number, closed that chapter of my life forever, and realized that true peace begins the moment you stop carrying the weight of someone who never appreciated your value. As the months passed, my business continued to grow beyond anything I had imagined, and every new project reminded me that talent, integrity, and perseverance always create opportunities that betrayal can never take away. Losing my marriage felt devastating at first, yet walking away with my dignity, my confidence, and the rewards of my own hard work became the greatest victory I could have asked for, because no one can steal a life that is built upon genuine character. Thank you for spending your time with this story and following every emotional step of this unforgettable journey from heartbreak to healing and from betrayal to personal triumph. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.